What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Big Men on Betting. I'm your host, Jeff Nadu. We are here live, as always, presented by Barstool Sports, here on the Barstool Sportsbook YouTube channel. And if you're just checking in, you're watching, you're ready to go, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you support us in the chat. Come say hello. What games do you want to take a look at this week? You know what we do on this show. No nonsense, no nothing. We just get straight in to talking about college football, the NFL, gambling. Soon we'll be talking college basketball. College basketball is under 1 month away. It is a great time of year to be alive. And guys, listen, I don't want to be this arrogant motherfucker, but I'm going to be this arrogant motherfucker. The truth of the matter is, I am very good at betting college football. I'm very good at breaking games down. I've had a terrific season so far. When you look at these blogs, okay, these are blogs, guys. This is a show you have to watch. If you truly want to make money, you've got to look at this stuff. Okay, you got to take this stuff seriously. I'm cashing right now. It's just that simple. So we'll sit back, we'll relax. Let's kind of break it all down. We generally have our producer Joe here. He's kind of in the background doing his thing. Joe, how's everything? I know you're traveling a little bit this week. How's everything going?
Yeah. Up in Boston this week. It's good, man. It's been really good. Boston's beautiful right now. It's not too cold yet, so I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's great weather here as well. But we got a lot of games, guys, to get into. And as customary on this show, we'll kind of start. I want to start with tonight's game in the NFL. Okay, what a fucking demented matchup this is. I mean, my God. Look, last Thursday, I think it was last Thursday. What was it? Denver and Indy, right? It was that god-awful game where no one could score. I kind of told myself I wasn't going to watch the game. I just told myself I have no interest. I know how this game's going to go. I have no interest. This week, same thing. I'm kind of looking at this Washington Commander team, and I'm looking at them and I'm saying, why on God's green earth do I want to back this team? Because it really doesn't matter what goes on. It doesn't matter if there's sharp money on them. It doesn't really matter what goes on with the Washington Commanders. They are just inept at winning football games. They are inept at trying to find things that go well. And the truth and why that is, they just don't have a good group up front. Their offensive line sucks. We know Carson Wentz is not talented. We know that he just can't seem to stay upright. He tries to do too much. He constantly turns the ball over when it matters most. But Ron Rivera can say all he wants about Carson Wentz, and we get it. He's not a good quarterback, and he's a mess. But I'll ask Joe quickly, tune into this. I have to ask you, if you're Ron Rivera, I get you throw your quarterback under the bus, but Ron Rivera also is to blame for this. They didn't run the ball one time on the goal line at the end of the game, and you ask why that is. They didn't have any timeouts. They don't want to get stoned and the game be over. The problem is Ron Rivera had a terrible challenge at one point and lost a timeout because of it. Ron Rivera has to be blamed for this as well. It is not all Carson Wentz's problem. This defense sucks. Joe, you would agree that it is impossible to bet on this group right now.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think back to your point with Ron Rivera, I'm starting to think that his time just might be up. And I think the love that he was getting as being Riverboat Ron has kind of run its course there in Washington. I think this will be his last season with the team.
Yeah, it's just kind of tired. I don't think it works. I don't think it's been successful. This team has had talent. I mean, I remember a year or two, this group defense was very good. Now they can't stop anybody. This defense sucks. And you look at last week, I mean, it's likely that they're probably not going to have some of those big plays that they were able to make last week. We look at the Chicago Bears, for that matter. I mean, this isn't a group I want to back either. I look at this total. Obviously, it screams under. And look, the public has been very good at calling these sorts of games. The public has made money this year. We're starting to see a better Justin Fields. They're competing in football games. I look at the team that's playing less worse, and it's the Chicago Bears. Do I want to back them? No, I don't. It's just a game I have no interest in betting on. I will say this, though. When we look at this college card tonight, I kind of want to delve in a little bit to that. So all the people that want to know about NFL, I think you should highly stay away from this game if it's me. Banksy says, excellent blog yesterday, big man. Thank you, Banksy. I appreciate that. Yes. Joe, what did you think of that blog involving is a certain employee, could he be fixed by me? Possibly.
I read it this morning. Actually, I thought it was really good. And listen, I saw the Dave Portnoy show. I saw what happened. The guy right now is in a mental pretzel, and I think he needs some guidance. And I think you might just be the guy to do it.
Well, hey, listen, I won't hold my breath and wait for that to happen, but we'll continue to do what we do. Thank you for reading it, though, Banksy, and to everyone that did. I appreciate it. Chubb says whoever scheduled the primetime games did a terrible job. Yeah, well, look, the truth is, I think a lot of these teams they expected to be good. They expected Denver to be good. I'm not really sure why anyone thought Indy would be good. It seems like every year Indianapolis is supposed to be this playoff team. Frank Reich, he's another one. These are guys that need to be fired. It's that simple. But let's get into Thursday night, right? Let's get into the games tonight. I want to talk about weekend games because that's what we do here. Baylor, West Virginia, I'm just going to say it. I've said it time and time again. Whether it comes to Virginia Tech, West Virginia, I have no interest in any of these teams, okay? I can't figure out what they are. I don't know what they are. I think they're all kind of chameleons. You never really know what you're going to get. Now, Baylor, I can kind of say the same thing about. I feel like Baylor, I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the year, I didn't understand why so many people were all over this team to win the Big 12. I just didn't. I mean, I don't like their quarterback play a whole lot. Do they have a good defense? Yeah. But I think eventually you need to score points, and I don't think they can do that. Now you got to go on the road Thursday night in Morgantown, which, given the circumstance, not a easy place to play. Now, again, this isn't the typical West Virginia football team, but still kind of a weird spot on Thursday night. I will say a game that I would kind of start to look at if I were you guys a little bit is this Temple Central Florida game. Because anytime Temple plays a capable football team, they have no shot to stay in the game. They just don't. I mean, you look at all their games this year, whether it was against I'm even talking about teams that could just even move the football. I'm not even talking about good football teams. If you have a sense of ability on offense, you can move the ball and beat Temple fairly easily. I mean, you look at what Duke did, 30-0. Look at what Memphis did, 24-3. Temple has one of the worst offenses in America. They have a pretty solid defense. But we have to ask ourselves, have they actually seen an offense quite like this? You look at what Memphis did, put up 24. It's likely that UCF will get to 30 in this game and probably eclipse that number. Okay, and you look at Temple, 15 points a game. I mean, just dreadful stuff. Are they UMass bad? No, but they're not far off. Total years at 46, and what's interesting about it is all the public square money is coming in on the under. You see, though, the over is getting punished. Absolutely punished. So it's kind of telling me that maybe Temple is good to maybe get to 13 here. UCF gets to like 35. This game goes over the number. Something tells me Temple breaks a big play or something. Maybe they get some sort of fumble and it helps their offense a little bit. The Stan Drayton hire at Temple, I don't understand. I didn't think it was a good one. This team has made some good hires over the years. Al Golden, Matt Rule. But they've also made some bad ones, right? Rod Carey being one of them. This team has made some bad decisions. But do you have interest in ultimately betting it? Something tells me this game finds its way over the number, 35-13, something like that. I don't think it's going to be easy. I think you're going to need Temple to do something for you here. And that's maybe why if you're Scott B., which is a good call by him, he's saying maybe take the team total over for Central Florida at 34.5. I kind of look at that and I say, well, I like that. I know that John Reese Plumlee can move the football. I know that Temple has not quite seen an offense like this. They just haven't. And look, they've made offenses like Duke look like, Tennessee or Alabama. So, who's to say that Temple can actually stop anybody? I don't think we actually quite know. Joe, is there anything on this card that you had an interest in Thursday night?
No, I mean, I am going to be betting the Thursday night football NFL game tonight. I am going to be betting the Bears money line. I think that they'll end up winning this game. That the line actually scares me a little bit because of how little it is. I feel like they should be like -2.5, -3, not -4.
We also ask ourselves, like that's a good point. Like at Barstool Sports, but currently the Bears are dogs +1. Like this is a very similar situation to me last week against the Tennessee Titans. I didn't really understand why Washington was being so heavily backed in that game. It ended up not working out. Why is Washington a favorite in this game? It's hard to tell me that maybe Carson Wentz, and someone mentioned earlier, Carson Wentz is very good on Thursday Night Football. Does he somehow pull a rabbit out of the hat here and he puts up one of those really good games?
He might, and I think if that happens, I think you're probably going to be looking at somehow, some way this game going over. But I just think I can just already see a tight game like a 17-14 game where he's trying to lead a charge down the field and he throws a costly pick or has a fumble at the end of the game. That's
Yeah,
just
that's likely what happens.
yeah, it's just what I see.
Yeah. By the way, guys, if you have a pick, you have a question on a game, we kind of do it like we do with Spaces, though we don't hear from you. You're welcome to throw it in the chat, and we'll see what you got going. By the way, one thing about this Temple UCF game, final point. You look at the last three matches between these two teams. UCF last year, 49-7. Year before, 38-13. Year before, 63-21. Now, again, those are a little bit different UCF teams. Think they're a little bit better than this one. But again, they have completely owned this group over the last couple of seasons. Let's go to Friday because I want to talk about a game that I kind of recommend you guys getting involved with a little bit here. This is a game I will be betting, okay? I like the Naval Academy on Friday night against SMU. I had this game at 10, straight up. I put it at 10. I didn't really understand why it was this high. You talk about a team in the Naval Academy that, I know that they're not a group you really want to get into. They're not that vintage team. They don't have Keenan Reynolds or Malcolm Perry anymore. But I got to tell you, I thought they were absolutely fantastic last week against Tulsa. I mean, this Navy team put up 51 points and almost 500 yards of offense, 455 on the ground, 6.5 yards a carry. That is absolute tank-like running with the ball. Just down the field, just barreling into people. Tulsa couldn't stop a fucking nosebleed in that game. And I got to be honest, I don't think SMU can either. They just can't. They're giving up over 5 yards a carry. This is a Friday night against a team who not running to bet on because they can't really stop anybody. You also look at the Naval Academy. 7-3 the last 10 games as a dog. They cover numbers. Niumatalolo is a great coach. And what do we know about the Naval Academy, the Army, the Air Force? They don't beat themselves with dumb penalties and bad decisions. There's a lot of things here that I think work in our favor. This is also an SMU team that has not been good in laying points. They always are the same type of team, SMU. Pretty good offense, can't stop anybody. And when you're playing in games like that, it is very difficult to cover almost 2 touchdown numbers. Again, when I looked at it, I put it at 10. You're going to give me 12.5, 13. I buy Navy. And this is what Navy does every year, guys. You look at the first game or two, they usually get beat up. And then from games 3 to the end of the season, you start to see a very resurgent Navy team. And what have we seen from them? Put up 51 last week. I thought we're very competitive against Air Force. And they beat East Carolina the 24th of September. This has been a nice stretch of games for the Naval Academy. They're well coached. They're a quality football team. And if that run can work, they will put points on the board. And as I said, SMU can't stop the run. So that's a game I'm buying. I like the Naval Academy tomorrow night. Other game you have tomorrow, Texas San Antonio, Florida International. Look, Florida International is a bottom 5 team in America. It's that simple. It's the team that lost to West Kentucky by 70, I think. They lost by 70, I think. Something like that. 65-70. They did win last week, so they're maybe not the worst team in the country anymore. That might be New Mexico State. But they're bad. And San Antonio, this should be a game where you kind of lay up, right? You roll in there, you win 49-3. But there is some concern with San Antonio because can they score points? Yes. But this is also a team that gave up 24 to Texas Southern, a non-Division I team. So if I'm looking at UTSA tomorrow at any level, I'm looking at that team total over. I want to just focus on this offense. I want to focus on Frank Harris, Quentin Cephas, Josh Franklin, those skill players. And you're probably not going to get a team total just yet. In fact, I'm going to look at it. There is actually one at Barstool Sports, 48.5. Wow, was I on the money with that? I said 49. That's where it should be. Can they get to 50? Absolutely. There should be very little excuse for them to not get to 50 here. None. FIU is bad, bad, bad. Let's go to Saturday. Joe, let me ask you, this whole card, what was the first game that you thought, I've got to bet that?
Is Penn State, Michigan. I love.
You have to bet, really?
I love Penn State. Michigan's shown you that when they go up against teams with a pulse, that they are nowhere near as strong as they are when they went and started this year 4-0. I love Penn State.
See, listen, I think this is the hardest game on the board. honestly. All these big games, these Alabama, Tennessees, the Michigans, Penn States, I don't know how on earth you could see them and say, I have to bet that. Here's what I'll ask, right? So I would agree that when Michigan plays Maryland, right, they didn't look good. They should have probably lost the game. But you and I look, and I think maybe I look at Iowa just way different than a lot of people do. For them, and I remember saying this that week of the game, I said, if they go in and win this game 27-10, that's going to impress me a whole lot. Because, Joe, Iowa does not lose by double digits at home. They just don't. Michigan absolutely owned them that day. That was impressive to me. That was when I first realized, you know what? This team is damn good, man. This team can move the ball. And I know Iowa can't move the ball. But that defense is tough. That's a tough place to go. And they did it with ease. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, if you're going to say that about Michigan, which it's fair, it's warranted, what has Penn State done? Who have they beaten? No one. And eventually you have to get past that who have they beaten stuff because they play who's on the schedule. But to me in this game, I think this is where a James Franklin comes back and really fucks you hard. He says, you know what, guys, we might have a pretty good football team here, but I'm just not a good coach. Do you really trust him? Do you really want to put your money in the hands of him in a game to this magnitude? This is the biggest game for Penn State. Throw on top of it, you've got to go to Ann Arbor. It's noon. It's a Sean Clifford type of game where you're going to have to make sure he doesn't turn the football over. And what do we know about Sean Clifford? Generally, in these types of games, he makes a stupid mistake. Now, against a team like Purdue, you can find a way to win that game. You ain't going to be able to do that here. I'd love to see this get to 6.5. I'm wishing it does because I will come back and take Michigan. Why do you like Michigan, or why do you like Penn State? Just because you don't believe in Michigan?
It's not that I just don't believe in Michigan. I just think with this Penn State team and with this offense, I think they have enough firepower to keep it within a score. And I don't think that Michigan's offense is going to get up and down the field like they really, really want to and are really going to try to. I like a couple key stops in this game that keep it close. This is a game that I wouldn't be shocked if we see overtime.
Yeah, and then you're kind of in a good spot, right? Because at worst, you push if you're
Yep.
on Penn State. Now, I'm not in the business of pushing. I do think that, you know, if you look at the game, it's kind of like where you were in that Iowa Penn State game, or Iowa Michigan game, because, you know, if you liked Iowa at 10.5, you should probably like Penn State at 7 because Penn State has a significantly better offense, you know, and I get your points there. Like, I completely get them. I'm not going to be playing this game. I don't ultimately have any interest in a flip. I think it's a very tough game to call. Do you just play the under? I think you could, because I look at Penn State and I'm actually very high on their defense. Very high on Michigan's defense. We can throw out the whole, well, they lost everybody from last year. Now all of a sudden they're good or not good. They're actually really good on defense. So I don't think we have to worry much about that. But from a game, as far as, am I excited to watch it? Yes. Am I excited to bet it? No. I think it's a really tough game, and I'm not going to have any of my money anywhere near it. I'm going to just kind of go down my sheet here as far as what I kind of stuck out to me. One game that I'm very interested in, and I know a lot of people won't be interested. I'm looking at this Illinois-Minnesota game, and I'm saying, wow, this is a great game on the surface. You have two teams who, I think one has been very surprising. I didn't think we'd think Illinois. They would probably be improved, but I don't think anyone thought they'd be this good. We all know Minnesota's played at a high level. I told all of you last week, I told you guys this on Spaces. At any point, I told you the game was going to go under last week between Iowa and Illinois, and it went way under. It was 9-6 for Christ's sakes. We look at this game. I mean, why is this game any different? You have a total at 39.5, 40 here. So what do we know about these two teams? They're both elite defenses. And I'm talking about elite defenses, both against the run, against the pass. They don't allow much of anything. They don't allow big plays. They don't allow you to throw the ball around. They don't let you to run down the throat. They just don't let it happen. They get to the quarterback. They tackle well. Everything about these teams, low scoring, old school football. What do we know about their quarterbacks? Tanner Morgan, been there like 20 years. Not been that effective. Doesn't have a great receiver group this year. Doesn't have no Rashad Bateman on this team. What do we know about Illinois? They like to run the ball. Chase Brown is great, but Tommy DeVito might not play. So now we throw that in as well. for as bad as they are at quarterback, they actually could be worse if DeVito doesn't play. Both these teams want to run the football. Chase Brown, Mo Ibrahim. It's going to be a big day for Mo. And I do think they're ultimately the better team because they have Mo Ibrahim. And even though Chase Brown's great, Mo's better. Looking at this at 39.5 and 40 and saying this is first to 17 to me wins. I think there's a lot of punts in this game. Field position is going to be very important. We're starting to get to that point where weather, you got the wind rustling, you got some colder temperatures, maybe that, make something happen here. On a 3rd and 6, you drop the football and you got a punt instead of getting some points out of it. Things like that. All that stuff adds up in games like this. And Illinois, as Justin Nobile says, he makes a good point. Look, I think they're already pretty one-dimensional. Both these teams want to run the ball. Their rushing play percentages are very high. I look at this and I say, I don't think you need to complicate this shit. A lot of people don't want to bet unders in college football. I get it. But if you start betting unders, you will win. You just will. I don't know how else to say it. Joe, do you have any read on this game? Do you see a side here that you want to play?
No, I'm not going to play a side. If I was going to make a play, it would be the under as well. Illinois, 4 games at home this year, and they've gone under 3 of those 4 as well. So I like your feel on this. I definitely see this as classic Big Ten football.
By the way, I also want to get the chat's opinion. Put your favorite bet in the chat right now. I want to see what you guys like, what you guys are thinking, where your heads are at this week. But yeah, this is one I zoomed in on right away. I really like both these teams, in all honesty. It's hard to call it from a side standpoint. The DeVito health is going to be interesting. He's not going to be at full strength. We know that. We just need to know how healthy he actually is. Now, a lot of people are going to talk about Kansas, Oklahoma. I thought this number was interesting. Oklahoma has been wretched. They've embarrassed themselves recently. Got crushed by TCU. Got crushed last week by Texas. This team has been a disaster. Now, all of a sudden, they're 9-point favorites at home against everybody's favorite team, Kansas, which, guys, I hate to call my another prediction out to possibly be right, but it is very possible that, Joe, Kansas doesn't get to a bowl game.
Yeah, very possible. They're
not going to be a favorite again, and makes it worse because Jaden Daniels is now out. Now what? Where do you go from here? Jason Bean is your quarterback. Now, Jason Bean used to be, I think he was at SMU, one of these, North Texas, I think he was at. And, he's okay. There's a reason he doesn't start at Kansas. Obviously, Daniels has been much better than the quarterbacks in the past there, but this guy is definitely going to take them down a peg. We do know they can't stop anybody. I think this is a stone cold Oklahoma spot. Do I trust them enough to put my money on them? I don't know just yet. I don't think. I can't lay 9. But if I'm looking at this game as a bettor, this is a stone cold Oklahoma line. There's no real reason why Oklahoma should be laying 9 here, but they are. And what is this number if Oklahoma, let's say, wins last week? It's much higher. It's much higher. Now, I don't know if it's warranted because I don't know how good Oklahoma is and they can't stop anybody. But Kansas could really struggle to move the ball. You change a team, the psyche of going from being undefeated with the whole season in front of them as some sort of Cinderella team. Now, I'm not saying they can't still be that, but now you also lose your quarterback, your signal caller, the guy that's taken you through this season and renaissance this team that no one cared about. What does the fan base think now? No more game day there. Nobody cares now. So that all plays into this. On a team like Kansas, who has not had sustainable success, you have to look at that kind of stuff. And say what you want about Oklahoma. This is a kill spot here. That simple. Iowa State covers at Texas with the big number, ? Says Cliff. I've had this weird obsession with Iowa State recently. Okay, I had them against Kansas. Couldn't score. Ended up losing by 3. They missed that kick at the buzzer. I come back last week. I see they're a home dog against Kansas State. 1.5. 2 at some books. I said, okay. I don't really like Kansas State on the road. I love this defense. And what do we see again from Iowa State? They just cannot move the ball. Luckily, neither could K-State. It was a defensive struggle. They ended up losing by 1. I won by a hook. Now, do I have the balls to come back on them 3 straight weeks? I'm starting to realize maybe Hunter Deckers isn't that good. Texas, I think this game kind of screams to me like the game they had, Texas against UTSA. I think it's going to be attractive to maybe get involved with Iowa State. And I do like their defense. I think they have a good defense. But have they seen an offense like this? I'll answer it. No. Has Hunter Deckers, does he have the ability to run with Texas and to match score for score with Texas? No, absolutely not. They've had issues at running back. Jarrell Brock's been in and out of the lineup for Iowa State. They're not at home here. They've kind of had the luck of being at home the last couple of games. I'm kind of at the point now. I've had a good read on this Iowa State group for the most part. I think this is a spot where Texas comes back and wins like 37-13, something like that. I don't think Texas will score 50. I don't think they'll score 25 either. I think they kind of get in that 35 range. I just don't think Iowa State can keep up. This offense is real bad, real bad. And I have said before, I think that shutout last week for Texas, that's damn impressive. I don't care how you swing it. You shut out Oklahoma, that's impressive. It just is. And we're not going to give them their flowers just yet defensively. I think they're much better than they've been in years past, though. So to answer your question, do I think Iowa State covers? No, I don't. I don't think they cover. Cliff says Jeff's hair is on point today. Thank you. I appreciate that. Academic says, I F with this white dude. Shout out to you, Academics. I appreciate that. I F with you too, bro. Jeff, what about your bromance with Schrader and Cuse? Yeah, I was going to bring them up. This is a barometer game for them, isn't it? I mean, we haven't seen Cuse in a while. It seems like the last time we saw them was that miraculous game against Purdue that they won, that they shouldn't have won. They had no business winning, but they won. Let's take a look at Syracuse, right? They're 5-0. They're ranked. They're 18th in America, Dino Babers and crew. Who have they beaten? Louisville, UConn, Purdue, Virginia, Wagner. Nothing to write home there about. Nothing. Now what do you got? You got 3 straight games against very good football teams. We're going to learn a lot about Syracuse by Halloween. When the rubber meets the road, you know what I think happens with Syracuse this week? I think they get absolutely fucking punished. That's what I think. Because what do we know about them? Dino Babers isn't a good coach. That's been relevant. That's been important. I've said that before. I was lucky to get my money with them in that game against Purdue, and I told myself, I've seen enough. I've seen enough with Garrett Schrader. I've seen enough with this team. Do I think they can move the ball? Yeah, but NC State's another animal. NC State's a real team. Do I think they warrant being a 3-point favorite here? No, I don't. I don't really care that they're at the Carrier Dome or whatever the hell it is they call it now. If I'm making this number truly, NC State should be a favorite to me. Now, obviously, they'll never make them a favorite because Syracuse is undefeated, and we need to respect that. But I don't respect it, and I like Dave Dorn a lot more than I like Dino Babers. Do I have a bromance with Garrett Schrader? I wouldn't say that. 1 week I did because they got the money for me. But I think we all watched that, and we realized we were lucky. And we were. I've been lucky a couple of times this year. Lord Hobbs says, how about Bama in the under? Well, here's what I would do in this game. Nick Saban has said that Bryce Young was on a pitch count in practice, which means that in this game, are we just going to probably force him back into play? He's going to do the whole, I'm going to play, coach, I'm good, when I'm really probably not. I don't really want to worry about it. I don't really want to worry about Bama's offense. There's one constant that I know about these two teams. There's one constant that we can continue to go back and forth and back and forth. Here's what I think is going to happen here. There will be a Heisman Trophy performance in this game, and you know who it's going to be from? Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker is a damn good quarterback. This is a damn good offense. And what do we know about Alabama? Damn good against the run. I don't love them against the pass. And I also don't like Tennessee at all on defense. So I don't want to worry about that. I don't want to worry about are they going to cover or not. I don't really care. They could lose and I could still win. The only thing that I can do to make that happen is I'm seeing a team total at 29.5. Do I think this is a shootout? Likely. Do I think it could be 38-31 Alabama? Likely. But I don't really care about Bryce Young. I don't care if he plays. I hope he plays because that will mean that they're likely to score quicker and I'm going to get the ball back. I don't want to worry about Alabama here. I just know that against that pass defense, I think I can move the football if I'm Tennessee. Tillman's back. They don't run the ball really at all. And Hooker is damn good. So that's how I'd play the game. Does it really answer your question? No. But that's how I feel. I don't want to back Alabama because I don't really know what Bryce Young is. This could be a cheap number on Alabama. When are they ever this low a favorite? Very rarely. Do you have a thought on that game, Joe?
Yeah, the line opened up Tennessee plus 8.5, and I sprinted to my phone to bet Tennessee plus 8.5. This, to me, is the most beatable Bama team I think we've seen under Nick Saban since probably his first year. I think they look very vulnerable right now. And if Bryce Young is playing or even half playing, I think Tennessee has a real shot to win this game and essentially catapult them to a top 3 team in the country. I like them at home to cover the 8.5. I wouldn't go anything near it if it gets anywhere 7 or under, because I do think Bama is Bama at any point in time. They can just turn it on. But I think this is a very beatable team, and I think you're absolutely right. Hendon Hooker has been a monster, and he's going to be a monster in this game too.
Yeah, you're 1,000% right on Alabama. I told people before the season started, I thought Tennessee was the 3rd best team in the SEC. After, coming into this game, I think you make a point that they could be the best team in this conference. Are they ultimately? I don't think, but they're not far off. And if you're asking me, do I think that Tennessee can win this game? Sure, they can. And if you're asking me what would I bet, I would take Tennessee. I just would. I think even with Bryce Young, I would still take Tennessee. I just don't want to worry about Alabama. I know that betting against Alabama is not a long-term strategy to profit in college football. It just isn't. Nick Saban is that good, and I know that it's not a good thing to do, so I'm not going to do it. I just know that Tennessee can move the ball, and therefore I would kind of be looking towards that if I'm looking at this game. But it's a great, fascinating game. We know these games are always high level. It's high-grade football, and that's what we want. What else do we have here? What do you think about South Alabama this week? You're digging into my bag of tricks here, which you guys know I like South Alabama a lot. I don't know. I think you continue to just bet what you do with South Alabama. Team total over. They're playing UL Monroe. UL Monroe doesn't stop anybody. So I don't really think I need to go into that too much. I would continue to bet that. They're a good passing attack. They play fast. They have a good flow in the game. Carter Bradley's been great at quarterback. John Fleming, I have no issue with just going back to the well. One other thing on Alabama, and Joe, you mentioned this about their ability to they don't scream that kind of same Alabama team. You look at the teams they played. I mean, any team with, like you say, a pulse, Alabama's kind of struggled with. We saw the game against Texas, and remember, it was Hudson Card for most of that game. We look at Arkansas. I mean, they still gave up 26 points in that game, and they didn't play well until the fourth quarter. That game was very close into the fourth quarter. Look at last week against A&M. Haynes King wasn't very effective, and they still hung around. This is a beatable team. Definitely a beatable team. And after this weekend, we can make a strong case. Tennessee is the best team in the SEC. I'm sorry to say it, but I will. All right. Cliff says NC State's overrated. I don't know about that. Any thoughts on Utah USC? Yeah, I like Utah. I felt like I've had a good read on this team. I thought they would lose last week, and they did. Now they're back at home. USC can do no wrong. They're terrific. They move the ball. But you know what? I'm just going to say it. Kyle Whittingham is a damn good fucking coach. Is he Lincoln Riley? We get the glitz and glam that big-time Lincoln Riley gets? No. But when the rubber meets the road, he's a damn good coach with a real solid defense that I think was a little overvalued last week, and they got their head caved in. But this line tells you what you need to know. I think all the intangibles in this game, when it comes to USC, I think Utah's just better. We always know they have a good special teams group. Things like that matter. Can Cam Rising go toe-to-toe with Caleb Williams? Absolutely he can. Absolutely he can. It's time for Utah to get back on the national picture. Because look, can they win the whole thing? No, not anymore. That dream's gone. But they can still win this conference, and that's still the goal. So I'm looking at this line and saying, well, after saying all that, after losing last week, and we look at this week, where's this number at? Utah. That tells you what you need to know. You can kind of look at these games and say, well, I know where I'm going there. I know what I'm thinking there. These books aren't stupid, guys. Okay. Barstool Sportsbook, not stupid. They know how to handle these games. There's a reason this is 3.5. You know what this game will be? 38-31 Utah. That's going to be the final in this game. Something like that. I've had a great read on these Pac-12 games. Great reads. Oregon State a couple of weeks ago. I knew they were going to get blown out. They just played well against USC. People concern themselves way too much with recency bias. What happened last week? Not always important. Stanford, Notre Dame. Let me ask you, Joe. Notre Dame is a 17-point favorite. Did that seem a little high to you?
Yeah, for that offense to beat anybody by 17, I think is a challenge. I think it's very high for this Notre Dame team.
And I look at what I'm going to get out of Stanford. I like Tanner McKee. I do. Like, I think he's a solid player. I think they're a decent team. But, like, whenever they play a team with a pulse, really outside of Oregon State, I mean, they kind of have gotten their teeth caved in. I mean, Washington beat them up bad. Oregon beat them up bad. Now you got to go to South Bend against a real good defense. I thought, like, when I first looked at this number, I thought exactly what you thought. I said, well, 17, that's a lot. Stanford's kind of good. They really aren't, though, I don't think. They can't stop anybody in the secondary. Their overs, I think, are good bets. But I think we're starting to see Notre Dame kind of flip it into gear just a little bit. You know, I thought that was a pretty nice performance last week. It was finally, the last couple of weeks, I finally feel like Notre Dame is starting to find themselves a little bit. You know, Drew Pine is starting to play better. Estime in the backup field starting to run the ball well. He put up 45 against UNC, did exactly what they needed to do. They won a high-scoring game, put up a lot of points, and were pretty solid defensively. Come back last week, neutral site against a really good mid-major program, well-coached team who was off a bye. Beat them. It really wasn't ever that close. Jaron Hall only threw the ball 17 times. Still won the game. Notre Dame had 500 yards. You know, they did a nice job defensively. They did a nice job offensively. They had 24 first downs compared to 13 for BYU. They did a really good job. This team is starting to play a lot better. And now, this week, you're back in the friendly confines of South Bend, Indiana, the gold helmets, and here comes Notre Dame. Here come the Irish. I'm starting to think this number might not be high enough. I think Stanford just against these type of good, solid football teams, I think we just kind of realized Stanford is kind of average, maybe not even average. Someone says, Jeff, make a pick. Did you miss when I gave you Navy? Did you miss that? Turn your ears up. It's quality over quantity. I'll give you my opinion. We're not at the end of the show yet. Mississippi State, Kentucky, says James Bean. Just a game to me. I don't really know what to expect from Kentucky because, you know, right now they don't have Will Levis. They didn't have him last week. I don't know what his status is this week, but you obviously want to check that out. I don't know what his status is, so I don't have an opinion yet. I haven't kept up on whether he's playing or not. And I've talked about Mississippi State. I'm not a big fan of backing them. It's not that I don't like Mike Leach. I just don't really like them as a team. I'm just not interested. Cliff says, Jeff, give us 2 hours every Thursday. I would. It's not my decision, though. I'm here till 5. That's kind of how it goes. Chris C says, how about Penn State, U of M? We already talked about that. I lean Michigan, but I'm not betting it. Scott B says, Jeff, I know Michigan State's a dumpster fire, but I'll take them plus 7.5 against Washington. I agree. Joe, I agree with him.
Yeah, well, you know I'm a Michigan State guy, and it's been a tough year for us. But, I think at home against Wisconsin, I think they can keep it within a touchdown. I hope so. I pray, because if not, I can't mentally handle them losing by double digits to Wisconsin at home. I don't know.
We're past the Jim Leonard first game thing, right? He came out, they rolled last week. Fine, whatever. This is still not a good offensive team. They're just not. And what do they want to do? They want to run the ball. What do we know about Michigan State? They suck against the pass, but they're a good run defense. Jacob Slade up front, very good player. Been a good player for years. Had a little injury scare this year, but good defensive group up front. Something tells me this number's a little too high. I agree with you, Scott B. I think Michigan State is worth a look this week. There's still time, guys, for Michigan State to figure this season out. They're not winning anything in this conference. They're not going to win a title, but bowl eligibility is still very much there, okay? They have some very winnable games. They can beat Rutgers. They'll beat Indiana. I think they can still beat Illinois. But I'll tell you what, you're not going to beat Michigan. You're not going to beat Penn State. This is a very important game for bowl eligibility. And I know people say, well, just because they need to go to a bowl doesn't mean they're going to. But again, when you're a team like Michigan State, it's time to compete in games like this. I don't need them to win. I just need them to hang. 24-20 will do the job here. I agree with you, Scott B. What's the best total on the board? Best total on the board to me, like I said, I think Illinois, Minnesota is a damn good total. I think that's a total that I would be very interested in. There's another one I don't quite understand. Purdue. I mean, I'm trying to understand why these Purdue games get bet down. Like, I don't really get it at all. I'm flummoxed each week with this team because we saw it last week. Same thing this week. It's going down. Why is it going down? Purdue throws a lot. They're top 5 in passing play percentage in America. They don't run it ever. Not a good defense. They got some big playmakers. Charlie Jones is terrific on offense. Aiden O'Connell can sling it. We know Nebraska can't stop anybody. And Nebraska can move the ball. Casey Thompson is a decent quarterback. The kid can move the ball. I think, to me, that's another total that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Not really sure. How many does FIU get against UTSA? I'll say 10. 10. Mark's take says this needs to be at least twice a week. I don't disagree. It's not my decision, though. I'm going to try to grow it during college basketball, do it a little bit more frequently. I would love to do something maybe 3 times a week. Obviously, a lot more games in college basketball, which, again, guys, that's under a month away. Round Ball podcast is going to be starting very soon. We get some big guests lined up. And I do mean big. So that's something to keep an eye on. Give it a shot. I think you're going to like it. We've been brainstorming. We've got a lot of cool things with some of the student bodies we're going to be doing, some live shows, that sort of thing. So it's going to be fun. BYU over Arkansas. Arkansas season is over. Arkansas season is over. Well, I wouldn't say it's over. It's definitely not been impressive. Do I want to back BYU right now, though? Not really. It's a flip of a game. I don't really like it. It's not a game I'd be on. Ball State, UConn over 47.5. Am I a degenerate? No, I don't think you're a degenerate, but I think UConn has obviously improved. Ball State, I just think is not good. So, I mean, are you a degenerate? No, I don't think. I wouldn't call anyone a degenerate because I don't think that people that bet games that you don't think are big games are degenerates. Listen, you find stuff in crumbs, as they say. Last week, nobody was betting Boise State, but I told you guys it was the best play on the board. They are just better than Fresno right now. Boise State has found something with Taylon Green at quarterback. He was great against San Diego State, and he was great last week. And now all of a sudden, what do we see? They're rolling. They're starting to score. You look at the last 2 games for Boise State, 75 points combined. What did they do? Fired their offensive coordinator, brought in Dirk Cutter. And Dirk Cutter said, you know what? I'm sick of this. It ain't working out. Let's put Taylon Green in the game. And what has he done? 75 points in 2 games. Now, they're off this week. They play Air Force next week. That'll be a great one. I saw someone ask about Charlotte UAB. What have I said time and time again about Charlotte? Charlotte could be the worst defense in America. It's that simple. But the thing about UAB is there's one thing you need to be able to do if you're going to stay in a game against the UAB Blazers. You need to stop the run. You just have to. If you don't stop the run, they will do a lot and a number on you. They just will. Now, Charlotte, guess what? Doesn't stop the run. They're giving up 5.6 yards a carry. To put that into perspective, that's 7th worst in America. Very bad. Very bad. So to someone that asked about this game, I think that answers your question. Do you trust UAB to score touchdowns? That's the kind of thing you need to look at. Because when you're laying numbers like this, there's not a lot of room for error with these teams at UAB. They may only put up 27 points in this game. Every time you have the ball, you need to be able to score touchdowns. The problem that UAB has, and one of the reasons I'm not running to bet this game, I think I mentioned this last week at Liberty. You only going to have a certain amount of possessions. If you don't score touchdowns, it's hard to cover these numbers. Now, I think ultimately, if I had to play it, I'd play UAB. But UAB is under 60% at touchdown percentage in the red zone. That's stuff you have to look at when you're laying a big number. So, i.e., we talked about Central Florida tonight. What do they do? Are they a team that can convert in the red zone? These teams, when they get the opportunity, do they score? One of the reasons last week I like Purdue Maryland over is because of their touchdown percentage in the red zone. How many times do they score a touchdown? If they have 30 red zone appearances, I want 29 touchdowns. But you look at that game, Maryland and Purdue were top 5. You look at Nebraska, they're also top 5. When they get to the red zone, they score touchdowns. Nebraska's only been to the red zone 18 times, but they have 15 touchdowns. When they get there, they score touchdowns. That's what you need in games. If you're betting overs or high numbers, UAB is not going to have a lot of possessions in this game. You need touchdowns. All right. Charlie Jones, the wide receiver's banged up. Yeah, again, but he's a tough kid. I'm sure he'll be in there. And again, guys, some of these teams, like I don't sit here and run over injury reports. Like if someone's banged up, that could be possible. And if that's a game you zero in on, that's something you should obviously understand and know. Do you have any plays for tonight's game? Yeah, I think if I'm looking at this, the only game I would consider here is Central Florida Temple over. But you're really running a risk of Temple not scoring. So for me, I think I'd probably zero in on UCF's team total over. If they don't get to 35, salute, so be it. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I would do it. Thoughts on San Jose State this week, -8.5 against Fresno. San Jose State, they're a lot like Boise, quite honestly. Very good defensive team. Very good against the pass. Logan Fife continues to very much struggle. I want to take a look at when Hainer will be back. I don't know if he's going to be back at all. He has a pretty serious injury. But San Jose, I don't know if they have the firepower that Boise has. Very similar number. In fact, San Jose is actually getting a little more respect than Boise was. I don't know if I agree with that. But yeah, I don't think there's a possibility that you can bet on Boise or on Fresno right now. They're not very good. It's been a rough season for that group. They were a team that I kind of thought, I think healthy could win that conference. But, when you're not healthy, you're not going to win conferences. And they lose Hainer, who is one of the best quarterbacks in the country that no one really talks about when he's healthy. Now, San Jose State's an interesting team because they got Chevin Cordero, quarterback there. He used to be Hawaii. He transfers to Brett Brennan in San Jose. And San Jose's been looking good recently. Also off a bye week. You didn't play last week. So that's helpful here as well. Yeah, I think San Jose is starting to become that Boise State-like team. All of a sudden they got a quarterback. They have a good defense. That's a good one. I don't really understand why they're a bit more favorited than Boise was last week, though. Joe, to answer this, what is your card looking like this week? What are some that you like?
Yeah, for me, we talked a little bit already, obviously, about Tennessee. The other game I do like is I like Mississippi State to cover. I think that Will Rogers is is probably the best quarterback in my eyes in the country as far as like a pro prospect. I think he's unbelievable. I think they're gonna beat up on Kentucky because Kentucky's gonna be banged up. They're probably not gonna have Will Levis. I know that's been rumored back and forth whether or not he's gonna play. Either way, if he plays, I don't think he's gonna be 100%. I really like Mississippi State here. I think that they do enough to cover that number and win this game.
Adam Persher says, how does your hairline stay that straight? Mine's all over the place. Because when I go to the barber, right? So we fade the sides. I actually have, so my barber has hairspray, right? And I basically mat it down. So it's all like this. And then he has a meticulous, what do you call it? A shaver that he goes very slowly across the front. And then he razors the front as well. It's very on point. It's very meticulous. So yes, it's very important that you go to the right barber and he knows how to use straight razors and things like that. If you're not using a straight razor at a barbershop, you're not at a barbershop. Barbershop's an event each week. You go there, you commiserate. I actually got into a fight at the barbershop last week, Joe. It was close to getting to throwing bows, actually. It was not great. The individual wasn't happy with me, but that happens at the barbershop occasionally. You have to be careful. But again, the opinions can be crazy in barbershops. When you say something stupid, sometimes you got to be called out for it. But yes, that's how my hairline stays so straight. It's important that you go to the right barbershop. All right. How do you dodge Oklahoma State? Impressive how you be dodging Oklahoma State. Well, I don't be doing anything. I just don't be talking about them. That's a tough game this week as well. LSU, Florida, that's a tough game. LSU, right? I was very happy with the team for a while. And then, they kind of struggled recently, struggled against Auburn, just kind of all over the place. Same with Florida. Just two teams I don't really want to bet right now. I don't see the interest in these kind of betting spots. I just don't. Clemson, Florida State, someone asked about. I think with that game, to me, I'm on Clemson again. I like Clemson. I'm in on Clemson. I don't think Clemson loses this year. Do I think this game is decided within 3 points? No. Clemson's a team that I'll probably bet as well. I'm very high on Clemson. I think defensively, they're very good. I think this is a lot like the Wake game. I just do. What were they in that game? 6.5-point favorites? Is it much difference that's on the road? You don't think they went on the road and played in big games before? Listen, Olagalele has been really good. I think we have to continue to talk about that. Last year, guys, he had 9 touchdowns all season. He's got 14 this year already. Only 2 interceptions. This offense is working for him. Florida State ain't going to stop it. And what do we know about Jordan Travis? In these types of games, he struggles. I like Clemson. I think this is a national title level type of team. And their number was 20-1 2 weeks ago. You know what it is now? 10, 12-1. People are figuring that out. This is a very good team, guys. Very good team. Justin O says a cut a week. There's generally times where I'll even go twice a week. Now, I think you go daily. I think you're a lunatic. But if I lived next to my barbershop, like let's say I live directly next door, I would go every day. Absolutely go every day. You don't want to see that 5 o'clock shadow type of thing. Now, occasionally I do. Now, I want to say something about a movie, Joe. I was watching last night. You ever get those nights? You may not get them because like you're married and you have kids and stuff. But for someone like me who, my life is basically sports and, researching criminals and shit. There are occasionally nights where like around midnight, I kind of pack it in and say, you know what? I'm going to go watch a movie, watch TV. And I'm on HBO Max and I'm looking around and I'm like, I want to watch a movie tonight. What do I want to watch? And I see Armageddon pop up. Have you seen that in a while?
I haven't seen Armageddon in at least probably 10 years.
And that idiot White Sox Dave, I saw he did a blog recently about good movies that actually aren't good or something. And he made a comment that he thinks that Armageddon is not a good movie. I don't understand. I think it's very good. And it's actually frightening to think about. Because if you remember how the movie starts, it's basically telling us how during the dinosaur times, there was this huge asteroid that hit the Earth. And for 1,000 years, the Earth was just, it was nothing. It was dead, basically. And you ever just truly think about that, Joe? Like, there could be a huge rock at some point that could be, it's going to hit this world at some point. And it's just kind of like a frightening movie. I don't know. It's a good movie, I think. I don't know why he would say it sucks, but that's a classic film. I hadn't seen it in so long. Is it a little corny at certain points? Yes. Ben Affleck can be a very corny actor occasionally, but very good film. That being said, all right, let's do a little rapid fire. We'll stay on for another 10 or so minutes here. Do you get cut in Philly? No, I don't live in Philly. I live in Lancaster, which is outside of Philly. Did you cry in Armageddon? No, I didn't see the whole movie yet. It's been a while since I've seen the whole movie. Would I cry in a film? Yeah, I have. I definitely have. Have you cried in a movie, Joe?
Yeah. Fox and the Hound. Did you remember the end of that movie? As a kid, I was an emotional wreck at the end of that.
I don't think I do.
Oh my gosh.
You know a movie I cry in, to be honest? When I was a kid, I used to have when I was younger, my dad loved John Wayne. He'd watch a lot of like Westerns and shit. And I kind of divulged into like those old Disney films. Disney used to have a film called Old Yeller. Okay. The book is very good, but the film, if you've seen Old Yeller,
yes. Yeah.
It's pretty sad at the end, dude.
That's a tough one.
Like Travis has to like basically go out and off Old Yeller. I mean, it's really fucked up. That was his dog. And due to his negligence, the dog gets, rabies, basically. It's pretty sad. And then his father comes home and teaches him how, like, eventually you have to, say goodbye to things. That's a tough one. Old Yeller is a rough fucking movie, man. Someone says Brian's song. That's definitely a film that you cry about. That's something I'm going to have to think about. I'll tell you what, when Sonny was killed in the Bronx Tale, that was sad. Sonny was a criminal, but seeing him with his big smiling face and, sees the only face that can see that face walking through the crowd, that's a rough one, Tanner says, I swear to God, all I want to see is Men of Honor podcast. Make it happen, Nadu. It's not my thing. Listen, Tanner, I would, here's what I would literally do to make Men of Honor happen. And you can clip this. I would contribute some of my own money each week from my salary to make that happen. That's how much I believe in it. Do you hear what I'm saying? Joe, do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm going to clip it too.
I would literally contribute somewhat of my salary to make that show happen. Now, his thinking is, I'm not going to do a show with him because he just wants to. Listen, here's the thing, guys. I know a lot of you people think that I need people. Guys, again, I built the sit down into something, whether you believe it or not. It's a big Joe. You know it is. Big show. A lot of people listen to it. YouTube does numbers that most people don't do at Barstool. Okay. It's done very well. I can do my own thing. I just know the show will be very successful. Now I'm talking stupid because he'll never do it, but I'd be willing to. I'm willing to put my money up because I know it will work. That shows how much I think it would work. Cliff says, how about when Pesci was shot the kid in Goodfellas? Did you cry? No, I didn't cry. What the fuck are you talking about? All right. Let me kind of wrap this thing up with some games here. Joe, anything in the NFL that's tickling your fancy?
Yeah, I love the under in this Browns and Patriots game. So right now, I think it's 43.5 right now. I love the under there. Both teams really good at running the ball. It's the only thing right now Cleveland can do offensively is just hand the ball off to Nick Chubb. I think they'll both play tough defense on the others. And then once again, like we don't know what's going on under center right now for New England. We don't know if it's Zappy. We don't know what's going on. So I really like the under in that game.
Yeah, I'm kind of talking. I'm kind of looking at Jets Packers. It seems like some points are going to be scored in that game. Packers are going to be pissed off after that London game last week. Look, they'll score against the Jets. Okay, the Jets, solid team, definitely playing well, but they can't stop anybody. Play very fast, throw a lot. Jets throw more than anyone in the league. Aaron Rodgers is going to do what he wants. I think they can get to probably 20 in that game, the Jets. I think that game finds its way over 45. Where are we going to kind of end this here? Troops TV, my man. What's up, Troops TV? Wagwan blood. Wagwan fam. I love Troops. Troops is the best. He's one of the only people I have not met personally at Barstool that I would give him the shirt off my back if he needs it. Wagwan blood. Stand the fuck up, Peckham, or wherever Troops is from. I love London. Shout out London blood. Appreciate that, RP. Thank you. All right, guys, before we wrap this big party up, I'm going to take 3 questions right now. Send your 3 questions in on games this week. I'll give you my quick opinion. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. We'll wait. And Joe, you'll deliver these questions. You'll deliver them. 49ers Falcons, Justin O. Well, I was dead wrong last week on the 49ers. I thought they'd struggle to move the ball. I feel like they do struggle to move the ball. Falcons final. Joe, have you seen the Falcons, by the way?
Yeah, they're a fun team.
They've covered every game.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Until the Falcons don't cover, I have a hard time not betting them. Now, it's now under 7, which this might be the week. 49ers are really good, man. Really good. But what did the 49ers do? Did they stay on the East Coast? Because they were in Carolina last week. I guess they did. That's going to be tough. Numbers already come down from 6.5. That's a tough game. Gun to my head, I'll lean Falcons, but I'm staying away. Dylan Fila says Cowboys, Eagles. Joe, you're not going to be at this game, right?
No, I'm not.
Well, I will be. Here's what I'll say. I know the Eagles are undefeated. I know for whatever reason, we're not playing the 85 fucking Bears, though everyone wants you to think they are. But I want Jalen Hurts. This is a barometer game, and I mean that. I truly believe it is. I think even though the Eagles are 5-0, whatever they are, this is a big spot on national television against your fucking rival who's playing really well. But remember, they have a backup fucking quarterback. That crowd is going to be on fire. And I don't know about you, Joe, but it seems like the Eagles have struggled in games prime time against the fucking Cowboys.
Yeah, this is I can't wait for this game, obviously. We're both Eagles fans, so from that standpoint, couldn't be more excited. This is going to be a really tough game, and you're absolutely right. It's going to be a barometer for both of these teams because, look at the Cowboys. The Cowboys really haven't been impressive and haven't really played a tough schedule either. I know, a lot of the talk is that who the Eagles played. Look at the Cowboys. Who the Cowboys played? Every time they play a team, it's I don't want to hear about the Rams. Okay, you win one on the Rams. The Rams are bad right now. Rams are a shell of who they were last year. So I don't know. I think this is going to be a tough game. But I think the Eagles are going to cover this.
There's some things, though, that are concerning to me about this game. And I'll tell you one straight up. The Eagles have injuries on the offensive line. They just do. We might see them all play. We may see some not play. We may see them all not play. Mylott is on the report still. Kelsey's on the report still. They've had issues there. That's concerning, man, to me. I need them fully healthy. And that's how I'm looking at this game. If they are not fully healthy, you're going to have to keep track of the injury report. It's only Thursday. Tomorrow you have a little bit better picture, I think. And look, a lot of this stuff is rest. I'd like to see them get Avonte Maddox back. I really would like to see him back. I want them at full strength. I don't want them going into this game with Sua Opeta and Jack Driscoll playing. I don't. You need your full complement of people in this game. Do I think the Eagles cover? I think the game's close. I think it's a classic. Do I think the Cooper Rush can actually come into Philadelphia and win? No, I don't. But I think the Eagles will lose in Dallas, but I don't think he's going to come in here and win. This is a huge barometer game. Those fans are going to be on fire. This city's on fire right now. Phillies, I know it's 1-1, but people are excited about them. And finally, a team to root for, a couple teams to root for here. I can't wait for the game. I'm excited. The weather looks good. Sunday night, the best night. I'm excited. One other question. Let's go. What do you got? Give me something.
Justin asked if you have a lock. Killed it with Boise last week.
Do you have a lock this week? Yes, Justin. I'll have some blogs out. At this hour, I'll give you something. Navy. I think Navy hangs tomorrow. I really do. I think they stay in that game tomorrow against SMU. I like the way they're playing. I like the matchup for them with the run game. I think it's very tough to stop the triple option. You have to be good with spacing and gaps and all that sort of thing. Navy's starting to play well. You're starting to see that offense move a little bit. That's one that I definitely have my eye on. I'll have some blogs out this weekend, though, guys. I want you to go take a look at those. I've had a good blog week, Joe. It's been I'm going to be top 20. If I'm not top 20, I don't know what's going on because I've had a couple blogs that have went on fire. The one secret blog, Joe, did you see I got my dick rated by a porn or OnlyFans model?
I did. That was funny. That was genuinely hilarious.
Let me tell you guys. I told you. Joey Camasta knows. He saw it. None of these people are lying. Just good to have that confirmation from a pro, if you will. So it's been a good blog week. I had that inmate story. It's been a good blog week. Go check out the Sit Down, a crime mystery podcast as well. If you like mafia, serial killer, true crime stuff, it's doing well. Very happy with the ratings. Very happy with where we are. I got some great interviews coming up. Joe, I'm going to interview very soon an individual who was in the Customs and Border Protection. His partner was killed in they were in a gunfight with the drug cartel. We're going to talk to him. I got DEA agents coming on. I got a gangster coming on next week. Got a guy that did 20 years in prison. I got all sorts of people coming on. So, keep an eye out for that. But that's the show this week, guys. I appreciate your participation as always. If you're here still, make sure you hit that like button. Go support all the shows here on the Barstool Sportsbook YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what rock you're living under, but subscribe now. Next, coming up at 6 o'clock, the bottom of the hour, the man with probably the best hair at Barstool, the Hanson lookalike, Brandon fucking Walker. Check him out at 6 o'clock. I'm out. Joe, as always, thank you for producing. We will see you all here next week on Big Man on Betting. Have a good week. Good luck.